Hey there, is your district, is your? Yeah, is your
Is your
district.
district?
Yeah, it sounds funny. I'm nervous with this one.
No!
Okay. Hey there, this is Matthew Jennings. In this episode of Peachjar Extra Credit, I'm here with my good friend and special guest, Christine Paik at Poway Unified School District, and we're going to talk all things hiring and some really innovative things they're doing here to boost their application rates and fill some of the open positions that they have. Christine, tell us a little bit about yourself, what your role here is at Poway.
Hey everyone, I'm Christine Peck. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for the Poway Unified School District. I've been in this position for almost 7 years. Poway Unified is located in sunny San Diego, although we are having our one rainy day of the season today. We are a district of about 35,000 students. We have 41 schools, and so we're a good-sized district, over 4,200 employees. As the communications officer, as well as a parent here in this district, I really have a vested interest in the success of public education here in our community. And so I love this job and I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. She's one of the greats. I absolutely love this gal. She's phenomenal at what she does and is definitely a leader in our space. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about hiring here today.
Thanks, Matthew.
So on this topic, what would you say? Would you say that filling open positions is one of the biggest difficulties that districts are facing today?
Absolutely. I think when you speak to educational leaders, you'll find that the hiring, the staffing shortage comes up over and over again. And it's almost shocking in a way because really school districts never had this problem before. Yes, a few hard to recruit positions here and there, but this is nationwide. And we are literally begging people to come work for us, whether it's bus drivers, instructional aides, food workers, substitute teachers. It runs across the board, and school districts are suffering.
It's true. And it's not just school districts too. I mean, I'm noticing longer lines at the grocery store, less people, able to check people out, just less people in stores in general. If you're looking for somebody to get help with, restaurants. I don't know if your family gets to go out to eat very often, but almost it's like we avoid it now because the wait is so bad. And a lot of restaurants are just open about, we just don't have enough staff tonight. You go in and you see open tables, but you're still waiting because there's only, a couple of people to serve.
It's private industry, it's public industry. I was driving around with my daughter and we noticed a sign for Chick-fil-A starting over $18 an hour. How do you compete with that?
How do you compete with that? It's impossible. So, and that's what we're here to talk about today is how do you compete with that? Because I was really impressed when I started digging into what are some districts doing, what your team here specifically is doing at Poway, I think personally is above and beyond. And that it's going to take some of these really unique things to compete with some of these private sector businesses that are just quite frankly able to pay better than we are.
Yeah, that's right. And so really it started with HR coming to the communications department and saying, hey, I know we've never done a hiring campaign before, but what can be done? What can communications do in conjunction with our efforts that really can get the word out and make sure that our potential applicants even know about these jobs and that we're hiring? So really, I was in the middle of my APR process, and of course, the first step is research.
Yeah.
And so I asked them, what are the positions? Who are normally our applicants? We got to identify the correct audiences so that we're not just blindly trying to recruit. And so that's where it started. And once we figured out who can we target, and that was retirees, our stay-at-home families or parents, and just some people in the community who might be looking to be associated with a strong, successful employer that values its employees like Poway Unified. That's when you're getting your mission-minded key messages out there. And so once we identified that and what positions we were looking for, that's when the work got started.
That's excellent. Yeah, Poway is a brand. It is a really strong brand. And so it's interesting when you think about some of the brands that are out there and how competitive they have to be to get people enticed enough to come and apply it and work for them. So the fact that a district like Poway, who has such a strong history and heritage, has to get out there and really pound the pavement to get applications is telling.
It really is, and I think you really have to work.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just coming to you, and to be able to take a step back and recognize, like, okay, how many daily applications are we getting in? It was down to a trickle, and of course, post-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
we're all dealing with this, but it was a wake-up call, because we literally were having kids on wait lists for our bus routes, which we'd never had before. We were having such long lines at lunchtime that kids weren't being able to get their
They couldn't eat
meal
lunch
before
during
lunch
lunch.
ended.
Yes,
So
experienced that.
this was directly affecting our kids, and
Mm-hmm.
we actually seized on that as one of our key messages.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, and so we want to talk through some of those key messages, and you talked a little bit about audience. And another theme that I think will kind of run through our conversation is working with your team. Like you had mentioned, you met with HR, and it's critical that you are really bringing in that whole approach, because this is a little bit of a unique way. Gone are the days where families just decide to go to their neighborhood schools. We have to market every facet of our district now. Why you need to come here, why you need to work here, and all of that marketing effort brings recruitment and retention, not just for staff, but for our families and our students, right? All of that. And so it is really a unique and new approach, I think, for school districts. And so it's bringing all the departments along for that ride, but human resources especially, because I know that some of the teams I've worked with, they're like, well, we go out and do recruitment fairs, and that has worked in the past. Or we go out and we talk to colleges, and that has worked in the past. And we probably still need to be doing those things, but it's not enough anymore.
That's one strategy,
One tactic.
and it should be part of a larger plan,
Yep.
right? Based on, what are your goals, what are your objectives, and then ultimately, how can you work in conjunction? This audience, like a recruiting fair, is not going to hit the retirees, or that college visit is not going to hit the stay-at-home families. So really making a concerted effort to be thoughtful in your approach and which strategies and tactics match up with the audience you're trying to reach.
That's great. Let's talk through some of the specific tactics that you have found successful here in Poway Unified, because I know you've done some really cool things. So just give us kind of that overall, some of the strategies that you've used, and what audiences maybe specifically that those were employed to hit.
Sure. So one of the things that we realized is a lot of our part-time school-based positions were our stay-at-home families or parents or grandparents. And so we knew we could have a captive audience during pickup lines.
Oh, cool.
And so before and drop off and pickup, we were like, how can we capture their attention, right? So we created lawn signs, which you actually see behind you, and banners, and we sent them to each school site, and they placed them all along
Brilliant.
the drop-off and pickup route, as well as the banners, right? There's a QR code on there, there's a bit.ly on there.
You can't miss it.
You can't miss it. It's in our brand colors. People know that this is a concerted effort, right?
Yeah.
That was one thing. Those same families receive all of our district-wide communications right in their inboxes.
Yep.
So then how are we getting to them electronically if we're not getting them with our lawn signs and banners?
Yeah.
So that was direct emails. We have never asked our families directly, please apply. It was a direct plea. The language was very much, you can help us help our students. So that was one. And then we actually sent multiple Peachjar flyers as well.
Great.
And so families are used to getting flyers from the community. Now they're getting flyers from the district, specifically in their inbox saying, we are hiring, join our team, help us now. And so those
great.
were a couple of ways we reached our internal, so to speak, audiences. For our external community, we know there's a large population of retirees here in our community, and one of their main news sources is our local paper.
Okay.
and as well as our local TV stations. And we have a great partnership with both print and TV. And so our media relations effort was hardcore. So my superintendent has a monthly column. She addressed it in her monthly column. We did a press release to our local paper, and they printed our
That's
dire
fantastic.
need. You know, you take a negative, potential negative messaging of,
Yeah.
oh, school district has long lunch lines, and you turn it into a recruiting tool. The reason why we have long lunch lines is because we're short staffed. Can anyone out there help us for a few hours a day
Brilliant.
and man the kitchen,
Yeah.
right? And so even when news media was contacting me with, oh, there's a community complaint about your long lunch lines, I said, great,
Let's talk about that.
let's talk about it. And so we were able to get in, I want to say, all 5 of our local stations, one way or another, talking about the need for food and nutrition workers, the need for bus drivers,
So great.
the need for all sorts of employees. And the message was consistent. Please help us help our kids. Our schools are the foundation of the strong community, and our kids are suffering right now.
1,000%. Yeah, the schools. I mean, what do real estate flyers lead with? The school district that the house is being sold in, right? It is the backbone to any community. So what was the response that you got on some of these things?
Oh my gosh, I didn't imagine that it would get so much leverage. We were so excited. We saw our number of applications over a couple weeks' time from when we started this campaign to where we ended up triple. Our
There's-
daily applications tripled.
Triple. Proven results.
Proven results, measurable results.
Measurable results.
But the stories that were coming out were just so awesome.
Can you share a couple stories?
Of course,
Okay,
of course.
okay.
So we had a retired pilot.
Okay.
He flew commercially as well as privately for tour companies, and during COVID, he was forced to retire because the tour operations weren't operating.
Right.
He came out of retirement. He saw the story on the news and said, I can help.
So
That's
cool.
my community.
So cool.
So he came out of retirement as a pilot and learned how to drive a bus.
Drive a bus.
Yep.
Cool.
We had another guy.
Just a different license.
Yeah, a different, exactly. Well, you're a pilot, you know.
Yeah, right? That's awesome.
There was another guy, by day, he's in the real estate industry, and he has 2 kids.
But he has some time.
He has some flexibility and time. He said, you know what? My daughter has benefited from the busing, and so I'm going to learn how to drive a bus. I can drive a bus.
I got goosebumps. Those are crazy stories.
So our message was impacting people and moving them into action, which was so exciting to see.
That's beautiful.
I do want to talk about the bus drivers a minute. We
Okay.
have this fantastic bus driver, Andrea Schmidt.
Okay.
She has been driving for a while. Her son works in the transportation department.
Cool.
Her dad is a retired bus driver. It is a family commitment
Wow.
to PUSD transportation. She is our employee of the year for a reason.
Okay.
She has got this personality that is so contagious. And so she started doing social media videos showing
cool.
a day in the life of a bus driver.
Huh.
And so then that turned into a ride-along for a member of the media.
No
They
way.
wanted to come. And then that segued into other people saying, oh, that looks like a fun place to work. So even our employees got in this. And so if you have an employee who is engaging or already active on social media, that's another way you can capture an entirely different audience.
It's so true. And I know in the districts I've worked in, there are those employees out there. And I imagine just about every district probably has a teacher or a bus driver or somebody doing something cool on social media about their job. You can totally leverage that. So a media ride-along, right, tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was that? They just came out and
They just asked.
That's awesome.
There was enough buzz generated about the need for school employees is that we've developed a relationship with our local media to the point where they feel comfortable. If it's a national story, if it's a local story, they feel comfortable coming to us and say, how can we localize this? How can we make this tangible for our audience? I never turn those down. They come in, we're like, what do you need? What do you want? How can we help you tell your story? And so they wanted to do a ride-along. And
That's
so
so cool.
we had them ride along on our bus route. We actually have a day in the life job videos for all of our high recruitment jobs.
That's smart.
That has been really key in our applicants knowing exactly what they're applying for and what it's going to look like, because we found that a lot of people don't know what it's like to work in a school district. They know private industry. They may not realize that a school district is like a small city.
It is exactly like a small city.
Right? And so those job description videos we have for custodians, bus drivers, food workers, instructional aides, after school aides, every time we post a job, there's a link to that video. We also share those videos on social media.
That's great. I love that. And do you have any data or feedback on that? Have you heard people talk about those videos, or they really like those videos?
Yes, of course, HR loves them. It helps them. But we do know some of our videos have been seen thousands of times. So we know they're being viewed and we know they're being used. And so I think that's a great investment of time and energy, is to create those job description videos so that your applicants know what they're getting into.
And who's making those videos? Is that something that the communications office is doing?
Yeah, so the communications office made those videos a couple years ago, not knowing.
Wow, foresight.
Exactly. The foresight has been, amazing. So, and they're still relevant,
That's
right?
great.
So we made them evergreen. We made them generic enough where any recruitment for that position, that video applies.
That's great. And that I think that is key as well. And I've also had that experience in other districts. If you make it too much about an individual person, then if they get promoted or they leave, then you've got to make a whole new video. But if you keep it more evergreen, that is something that kind of more stands the test of time, which is better use of resources, which is great. Unless you're highlighting a specific employee, like this bus driver. If I wanted to go check out, or if people wanted to check out the social media on this, so what is this bus driver that's doing these cool social reels? Is that Instagram? Is that Facebook, YouTube? Where did we go to see that?
She was on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't know if she's making them as much anymore, but really during the height of the hiring crisis, leading up to the new school year, I didn't even ask her. That's the beauty of it. She took it upon herself. It was really starting as kind of a morale booster, right? So she was doing little dances and showing off some of the buses and her fellow employees. And so we got wind of it, so we started sharing some of them. And then the media got wind of it and interviewed her. And so, what better spokesperson for your district than an employee like that?
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's you can't pay for that. That pays for itself tenfold. So we've talked about some of the things that you've done now, and you've had actual measurable, demonstrable results from, which is phenomenal. What are some of the things you're looking to in the future?
Yeah, so we continue to partner with our HR department. One of the things that they let us know that they were doing that was really cool was kind of a speed dating sort of virtual hiring fair.
Cool.
And so what they were doing for a lot of the high needs positions was pre-screening a bunch of people, getting them all in waiting rooms, and then the hiring manager or principal was coming into the Zoom and moving from room to room and doing interviews and hiring people on the spot. And so that's been a lot of fun.
That's unique.
And really effective. Also, we're really looking at retention now.
Yeah.
So the hiring portion, yes, that's great. But how do you retain employees once they're here? And so we have a hiring and retention work group across all departments in the district now that we just had our first meeting. And so we really hope to study the entire process, applicant process from start to finish. What do they experience? What are the roadblocks or barriers or places of improvement? We've already made small changes, and now we hope to recommend some system-wide big changes that ultimately will make it easier for an applicant to come through and feel like they're joining our team.
That's brilliant. And do you know approximately how many people are on that work group?
I would say right now about a dozen, but it's literally just starting off. And so as it grows
Yeah.
and develops, I see more people coming
More
on,
voices.
depending on their expertise. Maybe it's specific to, transportation, then we'd have the transportation department come in and really having that cross collaborative vibe that I'm super excited about.
Yeah, more voices in the room, more ideas. That's wonderful. Well, this is great. I mean, as a call to action, I would say that any district can implement even just one of these ideas. The yard signs is actually an award-winning campaign.
The yard signs were part of an award-winning campaign. I was shocked to receive the CalSPRA Gold Award
Yes.
for our marketing Team PUSD campaign.
Yeah.
And so I laid out, again, the APR process. I was right in the middle of getting my APR, and so following each step of research, planning, implementation, and evaluation, that really was this campaign. And so the marketing signs were part of it, the messaging, via, Peachjar and emails, the media relations, and even some of the tactics we didn't end up using. We explored movie theater ads.
Okay. Yeah.
Which we have a captive audience, but was that our audience, and
Yeah.
were we getting that return? I know some school districts have looked at, bus advertising and signage, but for us, that really wasn't an effective use of our resources. But we did put magnets on our cars.
Yeah, the white fleet.
Yep.
Yeah, same here. I did that in my previous district as well.
So it really is like taking ideas, not just from public school district, but ideas that our private industry competitors
Yes.
are using as well, and what works for your district, what works for your audience.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And that's kind of a little separate note, but on the buses and signs on vehicles, I was talking to another district last week, and they are wrapping their white fleet. I didn't get that fancy. I found the wraps were a little bit more expensive, but I did the magnets and the QR codes. That's so easy, and they're really inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. But we compared that to wrapping the city buses. And the city buses weren't really that expensive, but it's so temporary.
Right.
And then you're just competing with the college that comes in after you or the neighboring school district or whatever. But your white fleet is always out there. And they're driving around town taking care of problems all day long. Best advertising. If you're going to pay money to have a truck or a bus wrap, do your own vehicles. And that way you have control over how long that messaging stays out there or how often it changes, which is cool.
Absolutely. And we're lucky to have an in-house publishing department. And so props to them.
Yeah.
The guys over there, they created all of our lawn signs, banners, magnets, stickers, window cling, all of that. And so to be able to do that for an affordable price and to really pump up our guys, they felt they were part of this effort too.
That's awesome. Yeah, so if you have a department like that, be sure to lean in to that team because that's really powerful right there. They feel like they're part of this giant initiative and this thing bigger than their department to truly make a difference. If you don't have a team like that, I know a lot of our county offices of eds have teams like that, so lean into your county office of ed. Usually they do some really phenomenal work and they cut really great deals for school districts, of course. And then outside of that, try to find someone local.
Yeah.
Support local, support a local business, a local print shop. Find somebody there in your community so that you're also kind of you're doing what you preach, where it's like you're trying to help out your local community as well. And so if you're going to put your business out there, put your business out there with a print shop that wants to come in and help serve your mission as well. And you might find that I worked with a print shop in a previous district that cut us deals all the time just because they believed in the mission the school district served, which was awesome.
And that's a great point that you bring up, is leveraging your community partners in all of this, right? So obviously you have partners in the Chamber of Commerce, with city government, things like that. Okay, so they're competing for workers too, but maybe getting in front of certain audiences that might not know what the school district is going through because they all have a vested interest in the success of the local school district.
And a lot of them are parents, right? And so they're hearing about long lunch lines, or maybe they've had a bus route canceled on them, right? So they have a vested interest in the success of their local schools as well. So that's a good point. Well, as far as what you can do, you can pick one of these tactics. You can pick all of these tactics. And there are going to be results that you will get on the back end of this. It's been demonstrated. It works. It's not the magic bullet, right? We still have, issues filling open positions out there across every sector of business. But this will certainly help give you that competitive advantage that school districts haven't leaned into the past, and our private sector businesses are very good at.
And really, it's not one and done.
Yeah.
It's ongoing, it's year-round, and it never stops,
Never
right?
stops.
So even now, we have kids on wait lists, even though we increase the number of bus driver trainees by, a dozen, 2 dozen. It's never enough, right? And so this is the new reality, I feel like. And to have a strong partnership with HR and comms is going to be key in trying to staff our schools.
That's wonderful. Well, if you're looking for a job or you know somebody that's looking for a job, check out your local school district or your local school. Poways are posted right on the homepage. So if you're here in this area or looking to move to sunny Southern California, although today's overcast and raining, it's not typical for those of you across the nation. This is a really beautiful, sunny place to live, typically. But if you're looking to move out in this area, check out the open positions. But then talk to your family and your friends about it. So if you know people that are in between jobs or maybe unhappy with where they're at, the school district can be a really fantastic option. They're lovely places to work with people that are filling a really special mission of educating and leading the future of our nation, our country, our world, like these young minds, molding these young minds into people that can go out and be productive. It is a really, you get back, I don't know if you feel the same way, but you get back so much more than money. It's not a paycheck. You'll find that people that work in school districts are here because they truly love the mission and the value that they serve out there in the community. So if you or anybody else you know is looking for something in which you get back more than you're able to even give, definitely check out your local school or district.
That's who we're going after next. Career change, folks, right?
There you go.
Who are looking for something with purpose and passion. I came from a 15-year career in TV news, and this job, it's harder, but it is so much more impactful, meaningful, and fulfilling. So
that's beautiful. Well, Christine, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to hang out with me today and talk about this incredibly important project. I think what you guys are doing here is amazing, but just to promote you a little bit more, I just think what you do personally and the role that you serve, not just in San Diego County, but really it's across the entire state and across the country. I hear people talk, everybody I talk to knows Christine.
Oh my God.
She's amazing, and truly, I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit and share some of these really awesome ideas with everyone else out there.
It's my honor, and the thing I love most about school PR is the sharing, camaraderie. It's not cutthroat competitive. It's how can I help you be a better communicator? And if I have something to share, I will openly give it to you. So thank you, everyone out there.
Awesome. Well, that's all we got here. If you like this kind of content, please make sure you're staying tuned, following our social media channels, give us a like, share this out there, and we'll be back with even more, I promise. Thank you again, Christine.
You're welcome.